Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I was on the chase. Bradley Walsh makes huge demand when cameras are rolling. The bright lights, the towering set, the pulse-pounding music. Nothing quite prepares you for the moment you walk onto the set of the chase. I should know. I was there. It was 2009. And I was ready to take on one of the biggest quiz shows in the UK. My name's Nicola Crawley, and while I spend my days as a fertility therapist, that day I was a hopeful quizzer, standing under the spotlight, ready to outwit a chaser. But the real story, it wasn't just the trivia. It was what happened when the cameras weren't rolling, and what Bradley Walsh is really like when the audience isn't watching. I had always assumed Bradley was exactly the same off-camera as on, loud, quick-witted, always cracking a joke. And yes, he is naturally funny, but I quickly learned that the Brad you see on your telly isn't the whole story. Before filming started, the production team brought us onto the set. The place was surreal, massive screens, dramatic lighting, everything carefully choreographed. I remember feeling a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling up in my chest. That's when Bradley walked in. He didn't come straight over. Instead, he headed to a runner, chatting quietly, sipping a coffee. He looked focused, almost reserved. Eventually, he turned toward us and strolled over. His entrance wasn't grand, but what he said stuck with me. Placing his hand confidently on the contestant podium, he grinned and said, "You're the best pub quiz team in the land, and I'm your 5th member. Let's smash this." We laughed, already feeling a little loser. Then, with a wink, he added, "And don't call me Bradley. It's not Sunday. Call me Brad." It was the kind of dry, unexpected humour you'd hoped for, but in a very low-key, off-the-cuff way. That moment helped break the ice, especially for a team of nervous contestants. It felt like he knew exactly what we needed. But Brad wasn't always on. Between takes, he was quieter than expected. There were times he just leaned against the side of the set, sipping coffee or speaking softly on his phone. Sometimes he'd mess up a line. No surprise, given the sheer amount of dialogue he's got to juggle. When that happened, they'd stop filming and re-record. He didn't get flustered, though. Just laughed it off with the crew, rolled his shoulders, and went again. Total pro. During the show itself, I had a decent cash builder, £8,000, which I was proud of. Facing Paul the Sinnerman Sinho was no small task, and while I gave it my all, he ultimately bested me. Still, it was an exhilarating experience, and not just for the quiz. There were so many small moments that never made it to air. For instance, during the early rounds, Paul teased the first contestant, who chose the lower offer. It was playful, nothing cruel, but full of cheeky banter. We were all cracking up, but only a snippet made it to the final edit. The rest was lost to the cutting room floor, which is a shame. It showed a different side of both the chasers and the show. People often ask me what it's like being on the chase. Was Bradley really that nice? Was it nerve-wracking? Did I get starstruck? And honestly, yes, to all of it. But what I remember most isn't the money or the quiz questions. It's that moment when Brad, looked at us, smiled, and said, "Let's smash this." Because for a few hours, under those blinding studio lights, we weren't just contestants. We were a team, and Brad made sure we felt like one. Let me know if you want to turn this into something more dramatic, or tweak the tone to be funnier or more emotional.